I'm Heather from Booktubes, and today is a discussion video about the feisty main character, the feisty heroine, her dynamic with the love interest, and some issues I have with the way that this is presented some of the time. So this is obviously a very common character type in romance, especially if you have a alpha hero. Almost always you're going to have a feisty heroine and a feisty main character to go along with that as a juxtaposition to show that, you know, she's not a doormat. You can't just run over her. She can stand up to the alpha love interest. Okay, great. But I have quite a few thoughts that I've been thinking about for, honestly, like, this has been the process for a few years at this point. Just some things I've noticed, especially when I feel like this character is not done well, and some of the things that it can fall into that I dislike. So let's start with when this is done well. When this is done well, you are left with the feeling that you have two people who are each other's equals, who complement each other really well and vibe in a way that maybe wouldn't work if either one of them had not as strong of a personality, and you're left feeling like these are the perfect match. They complement each other really well. They lend each their strength to where the other one maybe doesn't have that strength, and you're kind of left with a power couple feeling. Even if maybe they aren't both in places of power, you still feel like this is a pair that is impressive. They're impressive on their own, and they're even more impressive together. You also feel like it works regardless of how extroverted they are or regardless of their personality types, the difference in their position. All of those things don't really matter because it's done well, and maybe she's poor and doesn't have the support system that she needs, and he's ultra wealthy or ultra powerful, but ultimately that power imbalance doesn't really matter because of her personality and character. You feel like she's the right match for him, and money wouldn't have made her a better match for him. And again, when this is done well, the clashing of their wills, the clashing of what they want or their viewpoints feels like banter. It feels like two people going at it over something that either brings them amusement, brings them happiness to kind of bicker with each other, or is something that is valuable to them, is a point that they're not willing to just let go because the other person doesn't feel the same way. It's something worth fighting for them. Also, when it's done really well, banter is clever. It's not just arguing back and forth. It's clever sarcasm, quips, wit, all of those things. It's not just, well, no, I don't want to do that. No, it's giving the other person something to think about. It's matching their wits. It's being on their level. And if you do have someone who's able to write two really intelligent characters and is able to bring that out on page, not just saying, oh, they're super intelligent, but actually like is lines that you wouldn't have thought of or you didn't know, that is so entertaining to me. And while this video is about feisty main characters, I would argue that you can have this equal pairing regardless of personality type. You can have a quiet heroine who is not a doormat, who is clever, who knows what she wants, and who is not willing to bend where she believes that is important, and she can still have a quiet personality. She can have an introverted personality. She can be someone who maybe didn't have a power to stand on before, but that didn't stop her from making the best choices that she could, that of the options that were presented to her, and of having strong morals and beliefs about what she is okay with doing or not doing. You can have them be quiet, outgoing, sunshiny, fierce, protective, stoic. It doesn't matter what their personality is. It matters whether or not they pair well and whether they're letting one person get their way to the detriment of themselves and to the detriment of other people and their relationship, or if they're like, hey, no, this particular thing I really believe you're wrong about, and I'm not going to just pretend like you're right. Personality does not equal character or inner strength, right? You can have any type of personality, and that can be a bad person, it can be a good person. It can be someone who is selfish or someone who is selfless. It can be someone who is intelligent or someone who maybe doesn't get most things. your personality type is not a virtue. And I feel like we often get the feisty main character held up as a virtue when that's not a thing. They're not equal to each other. They don't correlate. They're separate. They're not the same thing. So where this really falls apart for me is when, because it's so popular, you will get people who don't write it very well writing it, and then it can feel almost like a caricature of a character type. So you have this feisty main character, but actually it's just someone who has to argue with every single thing that is said to them, regardless of who it's said by, how correct it is, whether it needs an argument or not. And it can get old really fast. It can also be annoying, especially when the main character doesn't know what she's talking about. You can't have someone who's just like, no, I'm not going to do that, when they're not qualified to be making those decisions. So yeah, maybe they are making that decision for themselves and their own, bodily autonomy, but they're making an uninformed, stupid decision because they have never fought a yada yada before, and the hero is literally a professional at it, and you have the main character arguing for the sake of arguing. And then you have the love interest being like, I've never been more attracted to a human being. And it's like, but why? She's being an idiot. She's arguing when she doesn't have anything to base her argument on. She's just being confrontational. So instead of it being banter, it just falls flat into arguing and being an argumentative person who, in my opinion at least, wouldn't be fun to be around. Then you have the copy and paste love interest, who's this alpha male who has never been told no before and finds it so appealing, but not really for any reason. There's no real depth of character there. No one really fleshed out the character. She just said no to him, and that's kind of the basis of their entire relationship. She said no, and she's hot. So, win-win. All right, this is what I'm talking about, okay? This is our main character with the cliche, stereotype, red hair. Why, God, must we have so many feisty main characters have red hair? Not that many people in the world have red hair. Make it make sense. There's not a redhead in every 3-person friend group. It doesn't make sense. Furthermore, I would argue that your hair color does not actually affect your personality type all that much. And also, I would further argue that the majority of people these days do dye their hair because it is available to us. And why shouldn't we? So why is this? But here we go. Red-haired, feisty main character who is probably hyper independent. This is the closest to a love interest, an alpha male love interest, that I could get. So he's never been told no before. She never stops saying no. It's love. All right, in this imaginary scenario, they're on the run from someone who wants to kidnap and possibly kill her. He is a mafia boss. Let's go with mafia boss who has taken a few bullets and knives in his life and is used to this type of life. She's not interesting. No one quite knows why anyone is after her, but that's what we're going with. Get in the car. No. You get in the car right now or I swear I'm going to take a hand to you. No. I'd like to see you try. Okay, I will. You wait till we get in the bedroom. Okay, I will wait till we get in the bedroom. I'd like to see you show me what to do. You literally melt every time I get my lips on you. Yeah, well, nobody asked you. Wow, you're not like other girls. They usually do whatever I say. Yeah, I'm not like other girls. I don't do whatever you say. I don't do anything you say, even if it's a really smart thing, like get in the car because somebody's trying to kill me. I know, right? You should get in the car so we can get to safety. No, I don't think I will get in the car. All right, then I'm going to put you in the car. Scene. Second. What were you on the phone about? I'm not going to tell you. If you can't be honest with me, then how are we going to live in this relationship? I've known you for 24 hours. I have the lives and livelihoods of many people on my hands. I cannot just tell you secrets of my organization because you're hot and I'm into you. Well, there's no trust in this relationship. I can't trust you. I'm sorry you feel that way. Go to your room. Okay, I will go to my room. Climbs out the window, runs away, gets kidnapped by the person who was after her the entire time, which was the reason she was supposed to stay in the house in the first place. Oh no. She's been kidnapped. I knew this would happen. I should have told her I loved her, and I should have told her all my secrets when I had the chance, even though technically, they're not my secrets to tell and could actually lead to prison time and or death for everyone I know and love. But I've known her 24 hours. I knew she was the one. She was so dang hot. I should have just told her how I felt. I've been kidnapped. I'm so sad. I should have just listened. I should have told him how I felt. Now what? I'm here to save you. And then you just copy and paste that and repeat over and over and over and over again. So when you have a huge power imbalance, it can make sense that the alpha male would be attracted to someone who treats him like a real person, sees all of him, doesn't just immediately bow down to what he says, do what he says, actually gives feedback on it or a reason why that may or may not be a great idea, who doesn't just immediately agree with everything. There's a reason why a yes man is a saying. And so I can understand, I mean, I think you often saw this with kings or other royalty. They were very lonely because everyone around them was just interested in them because of their power. But then a lot of times, anytime that they didn't like what a person said to them or had a fight or were upset with them, they had the power to strip their life, their livelihood, the livelihood of their entire family, their lands, their riches. They could do anything that they wanted to that person. And so if you do that, if you don't make a safe space to disagree with you in, then yeah, everyone's going to agree with you because the price of disagreeing with you is possibly their life. This is a definite thing that happens with power, right? So I can understand someone who has a lot of power, who you have to kind of enforce that power. You can't let people just talk to you however you want, or you can't let them disobey your orders, that it would be attractive to have someone who's willing to stand up to you, especially someone who sees you, the real person, and appreciates you, the real person, and not just you for your position of power. But especially if the main character doesn't have any power of her own, and it doesn't even have to be power, but like, is she really intelligent? Is she really skilled? Is she there on equal footing at all? You could even say, like, is she really sweet? Like, is she just a sweet sunshine personality who truly does bring happiness to the people around her? That's good enough. That's bringing something to the table. But if you don't have that, if you just kind of have the surface level character type, and it can really come across as the person in power is allowing them to have the power to say no to them, right? It's not that she's so ballsy or that she's so clever or what she says has so much merit that the person who knows what they're talking about sits up and takes notice, because yeah, that actually is a great idea. Like, that makes sense why this would cause an issue and why that would fix the issue. When it's not that, then it just seems like they're allowing them to say no, so it's not actually brave of them to say no. And what I mean with that is, a lot of times you'll have, and this I think frustrates me, you'll have a character coming in and they're so like confrontational and brash and in your face and combative with this very powerful, dangerous person that they don't know. They don't know what their temperament is like, what their personality is like, what they find offensive or not, and they just go in on purpose trying to offend the person. And the reason why nothing bad happens to them is because the love interest doesn't want anything bad to happen to them, right? It's because he won't hit them, or he won't throw them out, or he won't ignore what they have to say. All of it comes back to him. He's allowing them to talk to him like that. And it's not actually anything particularly good or special on their part. It's just the love interest finds them attractive and doesn't mind them arguing with him. And you really see this break down when they do get taken by the bad guy, and those same in-your-face tactics end with them getting knocked out, or getting abused, or getting tortured, or getting hit, or whatever it might be. And of course, abuse is never the fault of the victim. I don't care if that man told you, shut up or I'm going to hit you. When you talked, he did not have the right to hit you, right? There is zero possible scenarios where the victim of abuse is at fault. It is always the abuser's fault. Always. I cannot stress that enough. It is always the abuser's fault. But in this book situation, in this character stereotype, in this very surface level character with no real depth to them, because they just know that feisty main characters are popular, so that's what they wrote, but they didn't give them any more personality than that. Instead of being smart about the fact that they've been kidnapped and are being threatened, they decide to mouth off or to say dumb things or to purposely provoke them for no reason. Why are you purposely provoking someone who's made it clear that they don't mind harming you, that they actively want to kill you? I understand if you're trying to get the attention off someone else, or you're trying to protect someone else, or you're trying to stall for time, but half the time at least, these main characters are like going at their captor for no reason, and then bad things happen to them when they could have just not done that. Like, you were already kidnapped. Maybe feel out the situation a little bit. Maybe don't say a whole lot. Maybe see what's happening. Maybe don't purposely provoke the psychopath who's clearly unhinged. Maybe don't do that. Maybe have just like a smidge of self-preservation. That's all I'm asking. And then I feel like this can really romanticize or glorify certain types of trauma responses, such as hyper-independence, won't stay down, won't shut up, won't accept help, pride, no self-preservation, no survival instincts. Those are all trauma responses and coping mechanisms that get like really glorified in this character type. Rage, instead of shutting down and disassociating, is not morally better. Your trauma response is not morally better than someone else's trauma response. As long as you're not abusing someone else, there isn't a hierarchy. Shutting down and being quiet and going into yourself is not weaker than being really aggressive towards the person who is harming you. You can feel really like you're putting down people who are quiet, or who are people pleasers, or who are non-confrontational, or even sometimes just people who think before they speak. It can feel like you're saying, they're not like those mousy girls that are worthless. No, our main character is feisty and you can't keep her down. She'll keep popping up no matter what you do to her. Like, how is that good? My point is, one type of trauma response does not make you a stronger person. I don't think that we should be saying, well, if you do this, then that means, you know, you lived through this, but you came out stronger. No, you shouldn't have lived through it. You shouldn't have been abused. People should treat each other well. You should not have trauma. You shouldn't have trauma. The fact that you have trauma means that someone somewhere did something that they shouldn't do, and it wasn't your fault. I get really frustrated by this hyper-independence as a good thing. Someone who is quiet, someone who doesn't argue over every little thing, that doesn't mean that that person will just take whatever is handed to them. Personality types are not the same thing as strength of character. They're not the same thing as inner strength. They're not the same thing as, there's a crisis going on, who's going to be able to be present and helping, and who's going to completely fall apart and unable to help anyone outside of themselves. And again, if that is your response to a crisis, I'm not criticizing you. We're all allowed to fall apart, is the entire point. It's not stronger to keep everything tucked deep inside than it is to cry. You can cry every time you get in an argument, and that doesn't make you a weak person. You can cry every time you're sad about something, and that doesn't make you a weak person. A main character who cries, a love interest who cries, doesn't make them a weak person. You're literally supposed to cry. Like, it's not healthy to not do it. I don't know if what I'm saying is coming across clearly or not, because I like feisty main characters. I like the main character who just always has an answer for everything and who doesn't take any crap. But I like other personality types too. I like all the personality types. You can make your main character have literally any personality type. In fact, you can give your love interest any personality type. And if you are making me love the character, whether they're likable or not, if you're making me love the character, I don't care what personality type you gave them. Do I believe that these two people deserve each other, that they should be together, that together they are happier than they ever would be apart, and I'm rooting for their love story? Were you able to accomplish that? Do I feel and care and want to know these two people, and am I happy that they're together? Then it doesn't matter if one was feisty or not. So I don't care what personality they have. I care about their depth. Were you able to write a fully fleshed out character? Their consistency. Are we going through the book and I'm like, it makes sense for that character to make that decision, or to treat people that way, or to say that in their argument, or to react that way to an argument? Is this consistent? Does this character make sense? How clever they are, how kind they are, how much inner strength they have. All of that matters so much more to me than what type of personality you gave them. So ultimately, I don't know. Do you recognize any of the things that I was saying? Are you like, yes, I have noticed this done poorly, or when this is done well, I really love it? Or maybe you don't really see kind of the gist of what I was saying. Let me know, but I do feel like, again, when a feisty main character is done well, they're done so well. But I feel like they are often like the tall, white, dark-haired love interest with the six-pack abs who's just a copy and paste. He's alpha, he's brooding, he says a lot, but you don't get any real personality. Yeah, I don't know. I just really feel like the feisty main character can be another copy and paste situation that's done often, and often not done well. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it made any sense. I'd love to hear any feedback on this. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.